In this video, we're going to look at different ways we can use to change sound in the middle of a track. In order to create a clear project, Guitar Pro 6 is going to assign to every track a different notation system depending on the instrument used. Let's, for example, create a new piano track. To do this, we'll use the Track menu, Add. We're going to select a piano, and it's the standard notation that is going to show in the project. The standard notation corresponds to the non-fretted instrument. Guitar Pro 6 doesn't allow the user to directly change instruments in the middle of the track. That's why it's quite important to plan your project in advance, knowing what types of instrument will be used. Although it isn't possible to completely change the nature of the instrument in the middle of the song, Guitar Pro 6 allows you to change the type of effect in the middle of the track, which will help your score sound a little bit more dynamic. This is useful, for example, if you want to go from a clean sound to a distortion sound without having to create a new track. This is done with effect variations. To demonstrate this tool, we're going to create a new track by using the Track menu, Add, and we're going to assign to this track a 6-string electric guitar. Let's add a few notes. Once these notes are entered, we're going to move to the Effects panel, which is the third panel on the left side of your score. As you can see, we already have two effects entered. We have an amp and an EQ. These two effects correspond to the type of instrument we added. We can of course tweak this by removing some of the effects, adding new ones. In this case, we're going to add a third effect, and we'll add a distortion pedal. If I play my guitar track, I will hear the effects that have been entered in the effect panel. This sound corresponds to the first variation. Let's rename this variation so that it corresponds to the type of sound we're using. Once these settings have been changed, we're going to save our variation. Let's now open variation number 2. I'm going to load the variation we previously created on that second variation, and I'm going to deactivate the distortion pedal. Now the second variation corresponds to the same effects we had for variation number 1 without the distortion activated. Let's rename the second variation so that it corresponds to the sound we're using. By default, the track on which you are is going to take into consideration the first variation. Let's place our cursor on the second bar of our guitar track, to which we'll assign variation number 2 so that we'll be able to hear the change of sounds. This can be done in the Edit menu and select variation number 2. Guitar Pro 6 indicates in the score the change of variations on the second bar. Now, if I play my track, the first bar is going to be played with a distortion pedal, the second bar will be played without the distortion pedal. And that's how you can change sounds with effect variations in Guitar Pro 6.